Wait a minute. I don't like it.
Here we go.
Oh, no.
Steve, Anna. So it almost looks like we're in a classroom.
Almost.
Okay, so we have a good opportunity that Monday falls in between holidays. So we have that opportunity to give some consciousness and anticipate to see what those windows in time have to offer. And so last time we spoke about Rosh Hashanah. For those who had the connection, I hope you had a good connection for Rosh Hashanah. Now we have, we're preparing ourselves for Yom Kippur. And so we're going to discuss today what Yom Kippur is about. So I'll just read a couple of things and then we'll go over a deeper aspect from the Zohar to connect to what the Rav and Karen have been teaching us about this Kabbalistic aspect of Yom Kippur. Right. So at the Kabbalah Center, Yom Kippur is a time for atonement, but it is a special sense of atonement. It is a day for being at one with a supreme high level of light and for receiving all the benefit that such a connection brings. Yom Kippur does, of course, include all the restrictions, that is fasting, and all the spiritual tools for creating separation from the physical world. But the purpose of these tools is not self-punishment or denial of pleasure as an end in itself. Instead, we are making ourselves really ready to fulfill, to fully receive the aspect of the light that is available to us only on this day. And that is also the same when we're talking about Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Simchat Torah, Purim, or all the rest of the holidays. Each one of them brings a very specific gift to humanity. And we're saying to humanity because it is a cosmic energy. We're not talking about a holiday that is only for Jews, Christians, Muslims, etc. We're talking about an energy that is available in the cosmos, that has a gift to offer to all humanity, and it is up to us first with our understanding and consciousness. When I understand what I'm receiving, then I can appreciate it, and by appreciating that gift, then I'm building a vessel to receive it even more. And so at Yom Kippur, we can touch what we call the energy of Binah, which is the source of all matter, all aspects of fulfillment, all aspects of pleasure that we desire. So while we do temporarily give up on a few of those enjoyments, at this time we're getting much more than we can ever imagine on Yom Kippur. And so Kabbalah is teaching us that our actions express themselves into forms of spiritual energy over the course of the year. The first half of the year is a time of causes, and the second half is manifesting the effects that those causes have set in motion. But there is nothing inevitable about this process. The Creator gives us an opportunity to cancel any of the judgment that our negative actions, words, and thoughts and whatnot have brought upon us. And not just our actions in the past year, but everything that came before as well. We're talking about this lifetime and previous lifetimes. And this is the purpose of the time of the spiritual cleansing that is beginning with Rosh Hashanah, including Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and Simchat Torah. So for those that are completely new to it, It's just names, random names, but actually they've been around for thousands of years, even before any type of religion came about. And so the period from Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippur is called the 10 days of judgment, or the 10 days of atonement. And if we can compare our, just one second. And if we can compare our lives to navigating the many sites, for example, of the internet, if we're scrolling what is the 10 days of atonement, it's almost as a chance to reset a button, like to reboot our system. And so a full week is passing between the end of Rosh Hashanah and the start of Yom Kippur. Between the eve of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, there are 10 days, and we're calling them the 10 days of atonement. And as we encounter each of those 7 days one by one, we correct all the transgressions that we have ever committed in this life and previous lifetimes. So imagine that when we're getting to today is Monday, so during the 10 days of atonement, we actually, in those 7 days, correcting each day of that year. So today is Monday, we're correcting all the Mondays of not just the past year, we're correcting all the Mondays of our entire lives and previous lifetimes. Tomorrow, we're going to correct all the Tuesdays, not only of the previous year, but of our entire lives, and Wednesday, etc., throughout the end of the week. And by restricting on those specific days, our negative inclination, our negative consciousness, thoughts, etc., this is what is going to allow us and enable the cleansing of those days. Because the day, from a Kabbalistic perspective, the day is an energy, it's like an angel. And so this is why on the Siddur, on the dining God, you have the angels of the day. So the angels of the day just pertains to saying that a day is like an angel. And so this is why the blessings that are to be revealed on Monday cannot be revealed on the Tuesday. But vice versa, we need to know that on the Monday during the 7 days and from the end of Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippur, so those are the 7 days, that we have that chance to correct those 7 days of the week. This is like the full grasp of it. Today I'm correcting all the Mondays of any of my Mondays in this life and previous lifetime. So if there was anything that I've done, said, thought that I could have done better, this is the day that I can correct all the Mondays. And tomorrow I cannot correct anymore the Mondays.
Ow.
So each day, that's the recommendation, to do as much as I can, restriction, and not to be self-absorbed, not to be sad, and not to give in into the feelings of loneliness and worrisome and giving up and what about me and doubts and uncertainty. Those are the opportunities that are given to me on that day, whatever challenges you had today. When we are restricting them, we're correcting all the Mondays of the year. Tomorrow, I'm certainly going to be challenged in one way or another. By restricting, I'm going to correct all the Tuesdays of the year, and the same for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, etc., etc. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So it's incredible. First of all, the knowledge of that makes us, just like a silly example, right? Like I have this shtick that I'm weighting myself on the scale on a daily basis. Why? Because like this, I can see the damage that I've done from the day before. And so, every Sunday, I know, do not get on the scale, do not get on the scale, do not get on the scale, because usually Shabbat, it's like with the challah and the hummus and the this and the amazing food that my wife is doing. I know that I'm gaining every Shabbat at least 2 or 3 pounds. That's my Shabbats. So if I've done dieting or whatever, restricting during the week, all that is got into smoke, during Shabbat. But at least, on Sunday, Monday, I'm forcing myself to get on the scale because it reminds me that I need to restrict. Because if I don't have sort of like a reminder, and I'm just going to be like all out, just, you're free to eat however you want, I'll just go back to being like a whale or whatever. And so in a spiritual perspective, when we're receiving the knowledge that we're receiving right now about the importance of correcting all the Mondays, correcting all the Tuesdays, I know that tomorrow I'm going to be a little bit more conscious of what's happening, how I'm reacting, what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, because I know that it's going to have an impact for the entire year. Or cleansing, correcting all the previous Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So when we don't have anything to hold us accountable, that's when Satan comes in, because we don't hold on to consciousness. So when we're on autopilot, this is when we are reactive the most. When we're watching ourselves, imagine that you are like in a court or you're in a room full of people, you're going to watch what's going to come out of your mouth. But if you're by yourself, who cares what comes out of your mouth? Like you step on a thing and you're gonna hit a nail or something. There is only one word with 4 letters that's gonna come out of your mouth, right? And without spelling it out. But if you're like in front of people and their children and you're gonna watch what's coming out of your mouth. Mm-hmm. So the same thing here. When we're gaining consciousness, it makes us a little bit more watchful over our actions and words. And so this is the importance of receiving consciousness. I mean, I wish that I could get consciousness at least once a day like this, so that I can watch myself during the day, the same as I do with the scale. I'm watching what I eat a little bit more than if I wouldn't get on the scale. So it adds up to how we are watching more over ourselves. And I mean, that also would lead us to be accountable and responsible. And, you just need to take responsibility for whatever is going to happen the next day. So you know that if today there is going to be like a pie on the table, and if you eat a slice, okay, that's fine. But, if that pizza was like so good and you went on the 4th and the 5th and the 6th slice, you know what the scale is going to look like tomorrow. So basically, that's what I'm trying to say. So with this maybe fresh or new or reminded consciousness that we're getting today, it's only to watch not just the entire week, but actually every single day that has the power to correct all the Mondays, all the Tuesdays, etc. So what is Yom Kippur? So the Torah is telling us that on this day of Yom Kippur, everyone is to be absolved of all judgment, regardless of the cause or severity of what they have done. So on this day, and only on this day, we can connect to the energy that emanates from the spiritual dimensions known as Binah. And Binah is the storehouse of energy that can potentially provide us with the fulfillment that we need for the upcoming year. If the whole world, imagine for a moment, is absolved, why is it so important to observe Yom Kippur? So again, imagine if everybody had the consciousness of Yom Kippur, irregardless of religion, of culture, where we are born, our upbringing, etc., but just the raw consciousness about the cosmic energy of this day. This is the day of atonement of humanity. Now, if we're not conscious of it and we just go on by our day, regular day, and we go to work, we go to the park, we do barbecue or whatever, and we're not conscious of what is available to us, we can't receive that gift. We can receive that gift if we are becoming aware of it. That is one level that we can receive more than if we didn't know about it. Mm-hmm. Now, another level, a higher level of receiving, the gift of Yom Kippur is when we learn and we study and understand a little bit better the gifts of Yom Kippur and know that there are spiritual tools and some levels of restrictions that can be done that have an impact, tremendous impact, only because we're doing those on Yom Kippur, that would have a secondary, that would have its beneficial effect for the entire year. So by observing and participating in the prayers and rituals of Yom Kippur, that is by consciously connecting ourselves to Binah. So by doing the prayers and by doing the connections, by listening to the shofar, by doing the restrictions, this is how we're connecting to this bank of energy that is sufficient for the entire year, that is called Binah. And so what are the things that we mentioned as far as the tools? We're going to go over the different restrictions. When the Creator brought the universe into being, a circuitry of spiritual energy was created. And so just as the laws of of science stipulate that physical energy is never lost, it only appears in different forms. And spiritual energy cannot simply disappear. The negativity that was cleansed at Rosh Hashanah, that energy participates in the system of what we call cause and effect, that is the foundation of our existence. And therefore, the judgments that had been upon us from one place or another need to go somewhere. And the truth is that Rosh Hashanah cleansed us out of all that energy. And now Binah, or Yom Kippur, gives us a chance to get a spiritual fill-up for the entire year. Mm-hmm. So, in other words, we can't just like remove all this negativity. It's not enough, because now, if you will, it's like there is like an empty spot, right? Imagine, for instance, if there is like a negative person in your life, and that negative person is being removed. Okay, so it feels like a relief in the moment, but this is why, people go back to the same movie. They can't, like, it's like there is an empty spot that is left. And so that's why people repeat drawing the same thing over and over again. Why? Because it's familiar. Now, Rosh Hashanah has done the job for us to remove that negativity. Yom Kippur, the purpose of Yom Kippur is not to leave that empty spot, but to take that empty spot, that empty space, that void, and fill it up with light. Right? And so that's an opportunity not only to remove all negativity, reactivity, doubts, uncertainty, whatever represented toxic relationships in our life, but actually replace that with something good. So this is why, we always worried that, like somebody loses a job or, loses a certain relationship or whatnot. From a Kabbalistic perspective, nothing is lost. Nothing is lost. Energy is eternal. But you have the choice that you can make in any given time of the year, to, if something is lost, to just let it go. And then there are people that are not familiar with letting go, so they're trying to get it back. And they use all sorts of whatever to try to get it back. If it's love, or if it's friendship or whatever, even if it was like, like a narcissist, negative situation, they're going back to what is familiar, even if it was not good for them. And so what that lesson is bringing to us is that we want to look into our physical and spiritual body. Where is it that Rosh Hashanah helped me to remove that negativity? Now, the game is basically, don't go back to the familiar. Now, allow the energy of Yom Kippur to fill up this void with the most dense and filled and whole energy of fulfillment and of light. And so the fact that we're observing Yom Kippur for 24, 25 hours, it's like basically the same time as Shabbat. This is the purpose. The purpose is to replace all this negativity with light. And all that really truly serves us, not only to elevate us, but also to fulfill the purpose for which, you know, I don't want to go too much into it, but to which kaparot itself came into the world. So what happens during the observance of the holiday? Like all the holidays of Kabbalah, Yom Kippur begins at sundown for the next 24 hours. So we will separate ourselves from all aspects of physicality, and then we connect completely to the high level of spiritual energy that Yom Kippur makes available. Now, we do not partake in any of the physical pleasures. So that's why we don't eat and we don't drink and we don't wear leather, and in general, we separate ourselves from physicality in any form. We don't wear makeup or cosmetics or perfumes, etc. We're basically cutting off any comfort or pleasure to the body for the sole sake of elevating the soul's connection and the pleasure of the soul. Because every time that we give pleasure to the body becomes more dominant over the simplicity of the soul. And so this is why when we are restricting all these earthly desires, you know, the power of the body is diminished. This is why when you're fasting for 24 hours, the body is tired and you get headaches and you feel lightheaded, etc. But as a secondary effect, you're also by disallowing the body, you're allowing the soul to elevate. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to do this. I mean, it's good. I mean, any nutritionist would say it's good to fast, you know, from dawn until sundown, at least once a week or so, because it's nice. It's good to reboot your physical system, the digestion system, and whatever. Here we're talking about a whole new level on Yom Kippur, especially. On Yom Kippur, especially when this light, this cosmic light, is showering all humanity. The only way truly that we can achieve that is if we neutralize the desire to receive of the body and enable the desire to receive of the soul. So now we are awakening the appetite of the soul, because the soul says, oh, wait a second, opportunity to draw, to grasp some light. I want to know how to do that. And so physically, it's simple. There are 5 restrictions. So, I mean, we said no eating, no drinking, no cosmetics, no showering. So shower in the eve, you know, and then the next night you can shower again. It's not a big deal, right? And for some it might be a problem, for others not much, but no sex, okay? Oh. And so those are the 5 restrictions, and don't wear, and no leather. But, you know, I see everybody here on the screen. I don't see you walking around with leather jackets and leather pants and things like that. So it's not a big deal. So it's mainly pertaining to the shoes. Like, you know, try to walk around with sneakers, make sure that there is no white leather, the same as the food and the drinks and sex, and they're all drawers of energy. Beatrice, you can sit on a leather chair. It's okay. So they're all drawers of energy. And so this is why we want to neutralize this aspect of giving the comfort to the body by not drawing more energy that it needs. Listen, you, by the way, on the eve of Yom Kippur, it is highly recommended not to just eat, but to eat twice as much. Really? And it's not just for the sake of that your fast is going to be better. It's actually one of the precepts to actually eat twice as much, right? So that you can be more prepared in drinking and in eating and whatnot, as you are preparing yourself to the fast. So 24 hours, the Yom Kippur evening service, which includes a singing that we call Kol Nidre. And in the ancient Aramaic language, it is one of the most moving times of the holiday, but the Kol Nidre is more than just a beautiful prayer, song, or whatnot. It is a powerful spiritual tool for removing any vow that we might have failed to fulfill. What is the problem with a vow? When we're saying, hey, I'll call you later, and then you get busy, and you end up not calling the person, or calling the person the next day. Remember what we said about the energy of the day. This is why we say, don't delay for tomorrow what you can do today. There is a spiritual significance to it. Why? Because whatever energy can be revealed today, it cannot be revealed tomorrow. Tomorrow, if you're going to do what you were supposed to do yesterday, you're going to reveal the energy of the next day, but nothing like the energy that was to be revealed today, it's gone bye-bye. So this is why, imagine that you are, as example, you're telling somebody, oh, I'll do this and I'll do that, or I'll call you, or let's chat, or I'll text you, I'll send you, I'll wait, whatever, I'll order this, or, pay me and then I'll pay you back, and then you forget and it takes you a week or two. Like those are basically vows that were sort of like hanging. And like we said earlier, when you're removing negativity, it has to be replaced by something. So if you're creating a promise, if you're making a promise, and it doesn't mean like you verbalize, Michael, I promise you that tomorrow, it doesn't have to include the word promise or I vow to. You can just say, oh, see you tomorrow, with the intention that you're going to see that person tomorrow, but then you encountered somebody that you like better than the one that you promised that you're going to see tomorrow. What do you do now? What do you do now? Now you need to find an excuse. Oh, but wait a second, what am I going to do? I promised this guy, I didn't have anything else to do, so I said yes. But now that you came, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you. Let's hang out. And because you don't like the confrontation and you don't like the embarrassment, you basically don't say anything to the other person. And it happened, and the person then checks on you, and and then you see the person is like starting to hammer you with text messages, and you don't want to deal with it. You shut off the phone, and you basically make the other person feel terribly not good, right? But forget about that. Like when you're making a promise, I'll do this and I'll do that, you're creating a vessel. The purpose of that vessel is to be filled with light. What is that light? That light is the fulfillment of the action. You promised. Imagine that you're promising a kid, oh, this weekend I'm taking you to Disney, or I'm taking you to your favorite baseball match, or whatever it is. In that moment, as you're announcing it, how does the kid feel? Ecstatic, joyous, happy, etc. How can he be already so happy? It didn't happen. Yeah. It is an energy that is borrowed from the manifestation. So when you don't accomplish, when you don't deliver on your promise, how does the kid feel? Terrible, disappointed, upset, and angry. What is the child experiencing now? The empty vessel. And so this is why nothing can be left empty. So when you're making a promise and it remains empty, it's basically what's going to feel if it's not the manifestation of the light of the manifestation that happened actually, it's light. But if there is no light, if there is no manifestation, there has to be a manifestation of something, and that's void. And that's what Satan is looking for. He's like begging you, please make a promise. Because then as soon as you make the promise, it will be my job to make you forget it. It will be my job to distract you. It will be my job to tempt you with somebody that seems like more important in this moment so that you can deny the promise. That's all Satan wants. He wants us he wants us to make that promise. So this is the power of Kol Nidre. So before Rosh Hashanah, we had the cancellation of the vows. So for those who had the opportunity to do it, great. If you didn't have the opportunity or you didn't know about it, you should know that the connection of Kol Nidre, that is the first connection that we're going to do with Yom Kippur. It is a lengthy song, a beautiful song. Hopefully the person that's going to sing it on the stream, and I suppose it's going to be Michael Berg, then it's going to be sang, but it's more than just a beautiful song. It has the power to cancel out all the vows. Imagine, not just this past year, all the vows that we made that we didn't keep our promise, that we overpromised and under-delivered. That is the power of Kol Nidre. What, just a song? Just a song has the power to do that? Yes, this is the power. We say power, words of power, right? But imagine if you're using spiritual, it's like like a barcode that you're putting into place, and it has the power to draw this energy that is available in the cosmos to remove those vows that we made. So in describing the content of the Yom Kippur service, the great Kabbalist Rabbi Yehuda, the Rav Ashlag, is making a contrast between the act of fasting with a profound spiritual nourishment for the participants that are receiving during the course of the holiday. So the Rav Ashlag is describing the 5 stages of the prayer, because basically there are going to be 5 meals, but those are not physical meals. They are spiritual meals. The 5 stages of the prayer during the holiday, the first occurs during the first evening of service, and that's what we call the Kol Nidre. And as the spiritual meals that are far more nourishing for the soul than the food that we are basically eating. In fact, most of the people don't even miss eating or drinking during that day, especially those that are really truly making the connection. And the way that the Rav Berg, our teacher, puts it, on Yom Kippur, the connection is with Binah, the great storehouse of energy that provides us with all that we desire in life is ours for the taking. Nobody is very concerned about missing lunch under any circumstance. And so if someone gave you, imagine the keys of a vault and told you that you could keep as much gold as you could gather in 24 hours period, how would we use this time to take a break, for example, for a sandwich? So that's the example. Imagine that you are, like, you wouldn't waste a minute to go, doing anything else but that. In the morning, so we passed the evening, and then in the morning, an early evening service on the day of Yom Kippur is kind of like following the same similar format. Both include a Torah reading, a lecture, and the praise and meditation that the Rav Ashlag described as the spiritual meal. The last of these prayers, which takes place at the close of the final service, is very especially important. It's called the prayer of Neilah, which is basically sealing of the verdict. And it is literally exonerating us from any type of judgment that we have owned and accumulated upon ourselves. So we have cleansed them on Rosh Hashanah, and we are gifting them, all of them, to Satan, who thinks that he's going to use them against us. But no, we're going to use Yom Kippur to seal ourselves off and fill up our vessel with light, and he is going to basically be left with all this negative energy. So, I mean, I can continue, but I just want to connect quickly with the Zohar. כתיב היותרת מן הכבד וכתיב ואת היותרת על הכבד יותרת מן הכבד, דא אשת זנונים דאזלה ונפקה מן הכבד, להסתרה בני עלמה, ולהסתנה עליהו ושבקד לדיחורה, למבט זינונים ובגימל דלת היותרת מן הכבד. What just happened?
Flowers.
I just think that Anna is sharing the screen. But it's okay. It's a beautiful, it's a beautiful screen.
Yes.
בתר דבתן דיופגה הסתלקת עליה, מצח אישה זונה התגברת על בעלה. It's okay. דיהו כבד בכעס דמרה אשת, מדנים וכעס דשלטה, יהיו על דחורה דילה. מצח אישה זונה שלטה על הכבד, אשת מדנים וחם. So on Yom Kippur, as we mentioned, there is no eating, there is no drinking. is signifying that Binah and this incredible spiritual nourishment that is 364, which is one number short of the 365 days of the Satan that Satan is providing. Second, the numerical value of the Satan is year. So basically, when we're using the word ha-Satan, it is equal the numerology of 364. So when we're removing 365 minus 1, which is the day that Satan has no grab, this is the day that we're revealing the most light in our life by removing all this judgment on Rosh Hashanah. Now, this is the day that we're getting rid of Satan. Can you imagine? Ha-Satan, the Satan, is equal 364. 364 days of the year, he's controlling. His job is to make us reactive. 364 days, that's his job. One day of the year, we are given this window in time that obviously if we have the right consciousness and as we are going to gaining this right consciousness and we're doing the restrictions and we're doing the connections, etc., we have a leverage to downscale the dominance over Satan. The way that he had it in this past year is not going to be the same in this coming year. Just because on that day, I concentrated all this energy on Yom Kippur, the one day that Satan has no grab, and I have the power to project this over the entire year. Sure, maybe the first, the second week, we're going to be alert and we're going to watch ourselves, because imagine, you know that you just, cleanse like 30 pounds over your body. So, like you take it easy now because, wow, I'm like the lowest that I've ever been. Maybe I deserve like a little, like a reward. Just one little slice of pizza. Like I keep talking about pizza because it's a conversation I had with my wife today, actually. And I told her, like I gained some weight in this time of Corona, but please, I'm begging you, stop bringing those pizza pies and leave them in the room unattended. It's not fair. You cannot leave an unattended pizza. Anyway, so this is the one day of the year when Satan is banished from the world. Ha-Satan is equal 364. He has dominion over the rest of the year, but not over Yom Kippur. And then at the end, after Neilah, the fifth meal, after the 24 hours, we're blowing the shofar again, just one time. And so we're blowing the shofar and observing the Yom Kippur is reestablishing our connection that was tarnished throughout the year, is reestablishing our connection to Binah. The nun of the word Satan, Shin Tet Nun, so the third letter is the nun. The nun in the word Satan is reduced in size, just as we reduce our desire to consume food and drink on Yom Kippur. And it reverts back into a Vav. So if you will, a nun is like a long Vav, but as it is diminished in size, it becomes again a Vav. That is, again, to spell esophagus in Hebrew. Satan and the force of death are now extracted from our arteries and limbs. And this splendid passage from the Zohar is recalling the energy of Yom Kippur, and it sounds the shofar on our behalf to heal our heart and our liver and arteries and trachea, esophagus and limbs, etc., etc. So imagine, it's not that it's just like a beautiful spiritual lesson. It actually has an impact in a physical level to heal ourselves, not only emotionally and spiritually, but also spiritually. What do you mean? Just the sound of the shofar? Yes, the sound of the shofar on Yom Kippur. Because you could blow the shofar like a trumpet the rest of the year. It's not going to do the same. It's not going to have the same result.
Wow.
As Satan is absent from the world on Yom Kippur, the light is generating from this passage. Now is banishing Satan from the other 364 days of the solar calendar, paving the way for the end of chaos, pain, and suffering. This is the tremendous power of Yom Kippur. Not only to cancel all the negativity that we have done, good job on Rosh Hashanah, and filling ourselves and all the void with light that's replacing all this void and all this emptiness, but we have the power to affect in a positive, beneficial way the whole coming 364 days. And I want to be honest with myself, at least. I know that I'll be a little bit more, a little reactive here and a little reactive there, a lot reactive here and a lot reactive, but it's certainly going to be less than last year. Why? Because I'm committing myself to do the job that I need to do with the restrictions and the connections and the 5 meals and the listening of the blowing of the shofar, etc., and regain consciousness to reboot not just my current system, but I have a better impact for the coming year.
Cool.
All right, guys.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Sorry, it was a little bit longer than the usual 30 minutes. I usually, I like to keep it short so that you look forward for the next time.
Thank you, Yehuda.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I'll see you
Thank
next
you.
week. And I'll see you next week, and hopefully we'll prepare for Sukkot.
Ooh,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.